Hey jackass, where's my DoorDash?
I don't know. DoorDash had a problem. As their cloud-native environment scaled and developers delivered new features, their monitoring system did what monitoring systems do and kept breaking down. In an organization where data is used to make better decisions about technology and about the business, losing observability means the entire company loses their competitive edge. With Chronosphere, DoorDash is no longer losing visibility into their application suite. What's the key? Chronosphere is an open-source, compatible, scalable, and reliable observability solution that gives the observability lead at DoorDash business confidence and peace of mind. To learn more, read the full success story at snark.cloud/Chronosphere success. I've been giving Azure a hard time for its security posture lately, and rightfully so. Therefore, I kind of suspect that this video is going to come as a bit of a shock to some folks because it's nothing less than a full-on love letter to an Azure service that solved a problem I've been noodling on for years. I periodically talk about my home-built last tweet in AWS Twitter shitposting client. It's hosted in 20 AWS regions. It's built entirely out of serverless technologies because the future. It's my CDK testbed application, and lest this get overlooked, it's what I use when I live tweet a conference talk with photos of the speaker's slides or write a thread that's heavy on the images. What last tweet in AWS didn't do was include alt text for those images. For those unaware, alt text is meant to convey the why of the image as it relates to the context that appears within. It's read aloud to users by screen reader software. It also displays on the page if the image fails to load. Now understand that last tweet in AWS is used to post things to Twitter. And one thing that some corners of Twitter get really upset about is when people don't include alt text for their images. At first, it was pretty easy to dismiss alt text as unimportant. Oh, that's just Twitter being Twitter. How many people with blindness or low vision could really be reading my nonsense? As a bonus, this thought pattern let me avoid doing extra work. But the more that I thought about it, and the more that I heard about the importance of alt text from people that I deeply respect, the more I began to question whether I was wrong. I was wrong! Being inclusive matters. I can't put it any more clearly than that. I don't know how to explain why it's important that you care about other people, but it very much is. I am not willing to debate this point. If you need a selfish reason to care, remember that we're all only temporarily abled. If we're fortunate enough to live long enough, vision is one of those things that deserts all of us. That includes you. With accessibility in mind, I enabled the last tweet in AWS checkbox that requires alt text for every image as I attempted to live tweet a conference talk. It was brutal. I spent more time writing alt text than I did writing the tweet itself. Realistically, people are unlikely to potentially double or triple their ongoing workload purely in the name of accessibility. But as I've just established, inclusivity matters, and I didn't know how to solve this problem. The last thing I expected to solve it with was a machine learning service from, of all companies, Microsoft Azure. If you want to experience the accessibility magic that Azure's Computer Vision has unleashed, use a Twitter account to log in to lasttweetinaws.com. Yes, I know, the permissions it wants are scary. There's no way for me to scope that down further and still let it do the things that make it in any way useful because of limitations in Twitter's API permissions. For what it's worth, you have my word that I don't log or retain any credentialed material. The require alt text and auto-generate alt text options are enabled by default, which sends the image at upload to Azure's Computer Vision API. The alt text results tend to be of varying quality. One experiment with my trademark selfie face spit back, a man with his mouth open. You know what? Yeah, I'll take it. That is directionally acceptable to me because I can always tweak the auto-generated description if necessary to make it more accurately reflect the context in which I'm using the photo. Now, where this whole thing falls to custard is when the picture is a screenshot of text or a photo of a conference slide when I'm mid-live tweet. And that's where the OCR mode toggle comes into play. When it's set to off, nothing happens. When it's set to always, it runs every image you upload through computer vision's optical character recognition functionality, which is similar to Amazon Textract. The magic breakthrough came from the idea of chaining these two things together with an OCR guess mode. There are a few phrases and image descriptions that are highly indicative that something should be OCR'd. A close-up of a machine with text, a screenshot of a computer with text, and so on. So when those terms show up, this thing then just submits the image for OCR via Azure's Computer Vision Read API. This saves folks with screen reading software the dubious pleasure of having to sort through whatever the hell gets output when you upload an image and try to OCR a photo of a pineapple. Finally, last tweet in AWS can generate alt text in a sophisticated, low-effort way. It's an absolute game changer for making accessibility something I don't really have to think about when I'm in the middle of tweeting. Reducing friction is incredibly important if we want to create a change in the world toward more inclusivity. Dearest Azure, your computer vision API is frankly a joy to work with. Yes, it's still an Azure offering, so the documentation is insecure in its suggestions and my requests to fix it get closed in the name of usability. But the capability is so powerful that I am mystified. Mystified that I haven't seen any other public examples of Twitter clients integrating functionality like this. Cloud economically speaking, computer vision isn't cheap, but also it is not cost prohibitive. Azure's pricing, my dear, it is esoteric at best. But for every 1,000 images I have it scan, you will charge me either $1 or $1.50. While yes, this could conceivably become a challenge if I have to scale out last tweet in AWS, it wouldn't also be that hard for me to just slap a Stripe payment gateway in front of it and charge folks several dollars a month to use it. Azure dearest, at various times I've been incredibly skeptical of your parent company, Microsoft, you, Azure yourself, and machine learning as an entire concept. So I assure you, nobody is more surprised than I to have discovered a hidden gem like computer vision lurking within the platform. At a time when we all need to be thinking about the ways that we'll create a more inclusive and accessible internet, this is the kind of tool more folks should have on hand. Credit where it's due, Azure, my sweet. This thing nailed it. Hugs and puppies, Corey. We're also recording now, so don't talk smack about Chris. We do that behind his back, remember?
Chris sucks.
All right, here we go from the top.